What in the mind wants to know what is truth? What's asking for the truth? What's desiring to know this thing called truth? What's searching for this thing called truth? Truth isn't something that can be named or shown. Again, it's not some destination to reach. The subtle recognition that there's really no truth to be told is where the laughter comes from. When all that desire falls away, the desire for knowing the answers, truth is always here. It's right here. It's never left. It's never been anything. Call it whatever you want to call it. All of it is truth. The freckle on my nose, there's truth. And yet none of it is true. The mind wants some conceptual thing to point to, and there just isn't one. For there to be one, there needs to be two. The duality is birthed in every thought I need to know. The idea of this me needing to know something that's separate from itself. The mind will keep coming up with questions. It'll want to know. It may even watch this and say, what is that philosophy? And there is no philosophy here. There's no teaching here. There's nothing to be taught, and there's nothing to be learned. The great paradox of all of this is that the mind can't wrap itself around that knowing. You say you want an apple, and you go to the store and you pick up the apple, and there is some accomplishment there. I wanted an apple. I'm holding an apple. There. I've done it. I can mark that off my list. The mind identifies with knowing, being right, having control, making determinations and calculations. It analyzes, it makes lists. That's what it does. Where the whole thing starts to slide sideways is when something starts to ask if any of that's true. This thing we've always called an apple. Can I even know that's true? Not the name of it, the identification of it even being real, it even being something I can obtain. Call the apple truth. Name it whatever you want to name it. Can I even know that it's real? Can I know that it's mine? I bite into it. There seem to be sensations happening. There seem to be flavors moving throughout the mouth. The mouth appears to be chewing. There appears to be all these activities happening. Can I know that any of it's true? It's all thought. As soon as it's thought about, it's already in the past. As soon as the question is asked, it's even in the past. So what here is truth? Everything that's arising in and out of this emptiness is thought. Yes, it may drive the belief that there's sensation and feeling and movement happening. What wants truth? Mind. It needs something to point to say, that makes sense. Guess what? The next question comes behind that. You ever watched a movie? Well, we have all watched movies, of course, but you finish the movie and the mind's already thinking of ways the movie could have been better. the ending would have been more fulfilling. The character that played that part would have been better if it had been ... The mind is always moving. It's always analyzing. Is there any time in that thought process that you would have said, that movie would have been my truth if it had been done this way? It would have lined up with all my beliefs, and I would have said, yes, that's my truth. This is why religion has spurred into so many different variations, because somebody starts down the path of one religion, and they say, this is my truth, and they hold the book. This is my truth. And then they come across something in that book, and they go, that doesn't line up for me. Everything else in here lines up, but this one doesn't. I can argue with that. So then they meet other philosophies or other theologians, and they have debates over whose version of that aspect of the book is the truth. Or one of them may say, there's this other religion that has all of these components, and they've removed that one part that I don't agree with. I'm going over here. Now this is my truth. Truth is a moving target. It's a moving target. So how can it ever be true? How can you ever point to it? To be able to point to it, there must be two. And that in itself is the great paradox. When all the questions subside and the mind is no longer believed, it's still doing what it has always done. There's just no believing it anymore. And it becomes hilarious. The thoughts rise in and out, they bounce around, they dance, they do what they do. The movie's watched, the mind is thinking, this would have been a great movie if. And that is hilarious. There's no believing it anymore. The biting into the apple, what a beautiful experience. When there's no longer any desire to understand if it is or isn't happening, if it is or isn't an apple, it is or isn't happening by my choice. None of it matters anymore. The desire to know the truth isn't here. It's not here because there's no two to experience truth and untruth. What spurred this conversation is someone wrote to me on Facebook today, and they pointed to something that I had written and asked about reincarnation and what was the other one they wanted to know about? I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Evolution. What my philosophy was on these things. And I just kind of laughed and asked what they meant by the word philosophy, and to which they then further elaborated that they meant that there seems to be something being taught here. And I've said this over and over again, and I'll repeat myself here. There's nothing to teach. There's no teacher. There's no philosophy. There's no finding out or discovering. It's not mine to have. It's not secret. It's not something I'm trying to keep from someone. It's not mine to have. This is a personal journey, and it is not about learning. It's about unraveling every thought that you've ever had that told you there was a truth. It's not something the story of Kelly will do for you. It's not even a you to do it. This mind thing that seems to be spread out among all these apparent individuals does what it does. Perfectly timed, perfectly aligned. No truth at all. In the story of Kelly, what has been realized here is that the desire to seek has just stopped. Could be different in the next moment. In this moment right now, as I'm speaking, the desire to seek has stopped. The desire to know or understand has stopped, as has the suffering. Now, I can point to experiences less than a month ago in time and space being an illusion where that may not have been the case. And even that's a story because it's a thought of some apparent past. What truth can you grab a hold of? Grab it. Now notice, is it true? Look at it. Be with it. Challenge every thought that arises in the story of it. And I promise you, the mind will keep filling those questions until each one of them is met. This isn't a debate. This isn't someone trying to defend or prove anything. There's no defense in this even. There's just this noticing that all of it's perfect the way that it is. So I'll leave you with that. Truth is a story. My truth, your truth. There's all these versions of truth. Whose is the truer truth? Sounds like a Dr. Seuss poem. Whose truth is the truest? Whose truth is the truest? Okay, I've had a long day. I'm getting punchy. I leave you now. I send you a tremendous amount of love. For those of you following on Facebook, you're probably noticing there's a lot more laughter happening here and a lot less interest in the serious stuff. So let's just watch it. It's fun. It's funny. It just is. Until next time, in love.